Hello, good morning, everyone. And for those who are new in this platform or have seen us for the first time, my name is Marilyn, and I'm the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited, or CTS. And we are passionate about helping leaders and organizations who are continuous learners and action takers to transform and thrive in all aspects by co creating customized programs with the help of our world class resources. We have served over 3,000 leaders from over 30 countries in different industries, and that includes Petronas, Sony Mobile, PruLife UK, Ayala Group, Chevron, Tencent, Jollibee Foods Corporation, and Shell, to name a few. And the reason why we are organizing several interventions, including this interview, is for us to be able to hopefully add value and help the leaders who don't know how to stay relevant and adapt in the next normal, those who find it stressful and that they cannot ensure or lead their team through the performance based on the remote working environment we have right now, and of course those who are afraid that they can't keep their team or their business. So do join us to stay relevant and continue to lead effectively in any situation. And today I'm super excited. I've been like, we almost didn't start on time because I've been chatting with the leader for the day, who's also my friend. And it's very interesting for me because she's been mixing between business and creativity. And I mean, I don't think a lot of people can do that, right? So without so much further ado, I'd like to I introduced to you Evelyn. She's the founder of Graceful Swan. She uses dance and movement holistically for greater flexibility, posture, and well-being for her clients. Her company recently won the Expat Living Readers' Choice Awards 2022. Oh, for so many categories, from Best Kids Performing Arts Program, bronze winner, and she also has over 17 years of experience in mentoring children as well as adults. So before her career as a dance educator, Evelyn was one of the most sought after dance artists, having performed at high profile events graced by dignitaries from America, Europe, Malaysia, and Singapore's former prime minister. One of her greatest priorities is to share joy and support her clients in gaining better well being through holistic approaches. And she has customized corporate movement coaching programs for her management levels across banking, government, academic settings as well. And some of her clients includes HSBC, Deutsche Bank, ABN AMRO, Ministry of Information, Communications and the Arts, INSEAD University, SEMCorp Marine, Media Corps, celebrities, to name a few. And so, without so much further ado, I'd like to bring in with me Evelyn. Hello.
Good morning, Marilyn. Such a joy to see your face today online.
Yes, me too, me too. And I'm glad to see you. And I haven't chat with you for a while, but I'm glad to have you as my guest leader for today. And so let
Thank
me just
you.
share your name with. So yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to learn from you in terms of like your experience on leadership, and I'm sure, like, with all the awards you're getting as well.
Thank
Um,
you.
recently, I mean, you have like a lot to share to our audience as well. So basically, I have 8 questions for you throughout this conversation, or probably more. My 8 main questions will revolve around like your perspective around leadership for the first 3 questions, and then the next 3 questions or would be around the meaty part, I would say, or the juicy part of the conversation, as we are both from rock star industry. Kane and
Yeah.
Alessa. And then 7 to 8 will be your Miss Universe questions.
Wow, I'm feeling quite beautiful already.
Definitely, you are beautiful.
Thank you.
So let's get
Likewise.
started.
Sure.
So please do share with us your leadership experience, and if you have like influencers that you'd like to share with us, or a favorite leadership style that you have used in the past, like do share with us.
Sure. I would love to say that life itself brings us the opportunities to learn. So when I was thinking about all the leadership experience that I had, it just started actually really when I was, while growing up. I remember just being back in school in academia. I was often given the opportunity, kind of being pulled out by the teachers to stand on the stage. I remember that was my first time when I was 15 to represent the school to host an event. I was like, I had no public speaking experience then, and then the opportunities kept coming in. And I remember getting an award during graduation to get a European Culture of International Understanding Award before I went to university in the US, and I was awarded an international leadership award to go to university in the US. So these experience didn't stem from me having a particular teacher who was guiding me through, but as I recall, I actually felt like the women in my family, my two late grandmothers, they influenced and impacted me in a way where nobody is perfect. We learn from strong and weak leadership, and it's the women that stand forth in my life that when they went through tough times, very struggling, hard times, where they serve the family, they serve people around them with humility and with integrity. So when I think about leadership, that humility came forth quite a bit, I think, significantly in the younger days, and being charitable in that sense, with that compassion and empathy for people from all walks of life. So I would say that the women came forth very strongly for me. And I think, not even actually thinking, I was very enthusiastic about women leadership when I was about 17, wanting to go to the university. And then I remembered somehow in my vividly, Mother Teresa. It's someone I resonated and value strongly. Not that I've met her in person; it would be such a wonderful thing to be an opportunity to do so. But her example across the world and doing such good works, and having the opportunity to work with humanitarian, religious, and spiritual leaders in my life throughout the years, in my teens to up to my age now in my 40s, it gave me the opportunity to kind of, I wouldn't say compact, but collectively, grew my experience of understanding what leadership is about, and constantly learning and evolving. So number one, when I think about the leadership that I have gone through, like how I shared earlier, humility, it's key. Empathy. When I apply leadership for myself, it's a lot of reflectiveness about the things that I could improve on, the things that are going on with the situation for the people around me, the employees, the people I serve. So that too comes very strongly for me.
Wow, thank you for sharing that experience with us. I mean, it was good to know that you've started so early in your life being a leader, even if you thought that you're not into it, or you're not capable to it, and yet you've been actually an amazing leader since when you were young and still studying, right? And yeah, and I'm glad to hear that story. But what I really get from this conversation, or from your sharing of past experiences, is that really about how can we be leaders as well in our own family. Like you've mentioned, you were influenced by your parents, your grandparents, in terms of how they actually lead the family, in general, right? Like having that humility which you've highlighted. And I think it's really like something humility is something that we have to pay attention to, especially in leadership in today's world, right? And again, it's timely that you've mentioned all about this, because today is it's Women's International Day. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, happy International Women's Day to you and all of your listeners.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you, thank you. So that leads me to my next question. I mean, based on your influencers, Mother Teresa, your mom, your family, so and also like what you've shared on what's like the main theme of your leadership style around humility. So then, what is leadership for you?
Leadership, wow, is such a beautiful word that has so much juiciness. And I love that you said juiciness earlier, because juiciness is a word that I started using for my teaching since my 20s. And I'm constantly telling my adult clients, juiciness, we have to feel vibrant. Leadership, when I mention about humility, I think about also the ability to be selfless and putting ourselves in that situation where we're able to perceive and understand the needs of others. It's very key. When I was sharing about the other women, great women exemplary roles in my life, there are also great men that I've learned with, and they showed humility, compassion, and they're very I would say, aware about themselves, and they're driven by a purpose. So leadership, to me, too, when we know a purpose, the purpose is to serve a bigger, the higher good, I would say, that keeps you grounded, and that each day, leadership, it's you're constantly evolving, you're wanting to progress. There are days where there are mistakes, but you're taking every single mistake as an opportunity to learn, to reflect, to impact the others, because I believe a true leader actually learn from their mistakes, and there's no so much of the pridefulness. Of course, we have seen across, uh, international news and different examples in our walk of life. You've seen good and weak leadership, and people resonate a lot about connectiveness these days, about relationship. And I don't want to go into news because we can get into politics, but that I have been influenced also, very fortunately, by politically strong leaders. So in university, I had some lecturers, professors who are also politically trained, and also Hillary Clinton was also someone who impacted me in a way, in a very positive way, that a female leader standing strong in her own ways, and learning, refining ourselves. That's what, to me, strong leadership is, especially for today, to understand and to reach out to the people around you, your employees, your staff, and actually not feeling like invincible. I think in the past, leadership roles, and in the past, it's almost like a higher level. But these days, when we think about effective leadership, or the way I value the leadership that experiences that have taught me and honed my leadership skill, it's to come to a level that we are able to connect to different people, different employees, different people in our lives that understand and to move forward, to help to grow together. It's about, as I was thinking this morning, that this came forth really strongly, harmonizing, unity, uh, or in whether it's in academia or in government or corporate, in all cross settings, you need a unity. A unity comes when people support you, people connect with you. And if you can't have a relationship with one person, and it becomes a dictatorial style, you may gel with that person who likes that, but in the mess, in a corporate setting, or in a big company or a small company, not everyone likes that style. So it's really knowing what your staff it's like. And I love what some people also have shared with me along the years, that um, people love to know also a bit of your vulnerability. People love to know a bit about your personal life. When I say personal life, it's not about like sharing every single bit, but being authentic. And when being authentic doesn't mean that you're telling everyone every single bit of a aspect in your life, but knowing that their leader is also a woman here and a woman over there I'm talking to, that they have struggles. They are learning every day, but the key is to support. That we're not alone. They are never alone. We're in it together in every situation.
Wow, thank you. And I really love what you've shared with us. But if I were to choose like a few from what you just shared, this again, it's about impacting others. Leadership is about impacting others through, like what you've said, it doesn't have to be, um, influencing them in like in other way around, but it's really using humility, connectedness, influence, and supporting each other, right, to get that result that they wanted to have, right. And again, from what you are sharing with me, it's really a lot around how you can actually work with people. It's a lot on communication and a lot on communicating, a lot on feeling the other person, and that's about leadership, right. And in my introduction as well, I've mentioned around like the challenges that people are facing in what they call the new normal or next normal. So I wonder, how would you define or describe next normal? I've attended your class online, and of course that also posted like a different ways of doing things, right. So I wonder, like in your case, in your experience, what how would you define it?
The next level or the new level, or I would say what I used to do and now, the bottom line for me, it's actually adaptability. An effective leader will always find themselves in a situation that they have to adapt to the needs of others, and to listen. It's key, and the support that we give out, I would say it's continual. It's like you have to fuel yourself and to learn from other effective leaders that you resonate with, and you apply it, and then you are able to share with the other people. And that, for me, that would be one of the most important for to continuously adapt. It's very important. I don't think that would change for me. Yes.
Yes, you spot on that. Key takeaways from you. It's really around adaptability and being able to listen. Because sometimes leaders forget to listen to whether their customer or with their subordinates at the same time, right? So we're facing it, we're adapting to it based on what we're doing right now. But of course, definitely there are also like challenges that some leaders have faced even before the what we call this pandemic or next normal that we were referring to. But from your experience, as a business owner, as once a corporate leader, and now working with corporate leaders through your holistic solutions, what would you say would be the top three problems that leaders normally face?
Oh, this is exciting. This is a juicy part. I mean, all the questions are juicy, but this is exciting. Like how we were sharing earlier, communication. If we have noticed across workplaces, corporate places, why do people leave the job after a while? The job satisfaction is one thing, the communication. And I put myself in a situation with previous work experience before I started my business, why I stayed in certain companies for years, and I continue to serve them and to support. And then later on, you kind of feel like you kind of dwindled in some ways, that you feel like, you don't feel challenged, or perhaps that's not the word challenge, but the fact that that relationship, the communication with your the person in charge, or they're not valuing or seeing the things that you're sharing with them. So that level of communication, I almost like to think of it's like a frequency, a radio frequency of, yes, that we kind of tune to the level that we need every day, to the staff that we're talking to our clients, especially since we're business owners, to even our customers, that we tune in. And why do certain customers are attracted to us and continually come to us? Because there's a level of frequency they are drawn to us. Some And I would say it's no longer quite a mechanical way of a business where sometimes they just like, oh, that prestigiousness of that business is showing, but it's really coming down to that whole, I would say, humble level of human to human connection that we're having. That's a that juicy bit that I find that it's a problem in no matter, I think, even in 10 years later, when people are interviewing and having leadership talk, they will often talk about the communication breakdown with staff and leaders. And the second issue is like how I would say, I wouldn't say issue, like challenge, that the job satisfaction. It's very important when I think about also communicate leaders talking to their employees, that to check in with them. And the way I would like to inject also, like when I think about some of my younger stuff, the way I approach it's, I don't like to be doctrinal or dominating. It's more, I know what it's like because I've worked with stuff like that. Bosses like that, which works with certain people. But with I would say the younger generation, we have to adapt. If I'm being over controlling, being a type A personally, really being minusculely scrutinizing every bits and pieces of what they're doing, a lot of the younger generation do not feel good. They like that creativity. So when ideas pop in, and I actually allow them to bring in ideas, to come forth, with ideas. There's no idea that's right or wrong. It's whether at this juncture in our work or project, is that feasible? Is that something we could collectively work together, brainstorm together, and make it work? If it doesn't work, can we put it aside and perhaps at another point let it work? If it's something that everyone do not see it eye to eye, then maybe that's not something. But we do value every opinion. So valuing the opinions as it's very important. And I think across all organizations, when the staff are able to feel that their leader, not even to feel, but because feeling it's a connection, but they're being heard, they're being supported. Even if that job is not, at that point for that person, it's not like a fantastic job. They took on this job during this pandemic to, to support the family or to do something, but they feel like they want to keep going. There are some people who stay in that job for 10 years because there's something that keeps them going, because of that the people they around them makes them feel that they're serving a purpose together, and not just alone but together. Excuse me. Yes. And the third bit, it's I would say knowing how to pivot with the stuff, that a little bit more about when you're running a big organization, it's quite impossible to know everyone's personal life. But I love one of what a friend in a local company that's really successful in Singapore. And I remember during the pandemic last year, well, we're still experiencing this together, that things are happening to the family overseas, but that leader stepped up, and the founder of the company, there's so many things there. The company is just growing rapidly, but the fact that the leader make time to contact my friend and to say, we can help your family and all that, that makes that person feel so valued, even though at a top managerial role, the person feels super stressed and kind of feel like, I don't know if I, between family and a job and all, what am I going to do? But that leader was able to pivot and adapt, and, to take that time. And that resonated so strongly for my friend. And that was a great example to me too, in times of need and crisis, the person make time. And I value that we make time. And the leaders that I've seen and experienced before, they always take time. It's never a convenient time, actually. It's quite often, it's quite an inconvenient time. And sometimes you forget about the family time, personal love life and all, but you make time for your stuff. Yes.
Wow, thank you. I love how you actually like pinpointed these three important things. I hope I got it correctly. So again, it's communication, job satisfaction, and mainly, around valuing others as a leader, and of course knowing how to pivot with a team, right? Like what you've
Mm.
mentioned. And again, you've highlighted like the importance of how you should work with people. And in fact, the first thing that you've mentioned, which is around communication, is like, 6 out of 10 leadership skills that are, most leaders are like having problem with is actually on communications, right? And like, we've seen a lot of statistics, a lot of articles, and even conversations around that. And yet, this up until this time, it's still like, the challenge that most leaders are facing. And again, it's, I would say, like, from what you've shared also in your earlier experience, it's really like about understanding others, um valuing others, and like what you've also mentioned earlier, having that humility, that emotional intelligence, to be able to really connect to your team, right, would be important in really communicating with others, right? And before
Mm.
I ask the next question, I just wanted to say thank you to Sophia and William, who gave us their love. Thank you for supporting.
Oh, wonderful.
And for those who are watching us live from either YouTube or Facebook, I got a bit distracted because looks like we're not we're not streaming on LinkedIn right now. But anyway, we can actually share that later on as well. So I mean, we will not leave them with the problems. I mean, we've talked about the problems or in the earlier question, but now is really giving them much more of a solution in terms of what are the important leadership capabilities or skills that they must have in this next normal in order to continue to lead effectively and thrive.
Yes. The ability, that creativity component, it's actually across organizations. Everyone is creative in their own ways. It's just whether we're tapping in. Yes. And leadership skill, I believe that leadership skill is innate within everyone. It's just a matter of that timing and experience that we start stepping out. I would say stepping out and kind of shining in whatever we're doing. Yes.
Right. Creativity. Is there anything more that you would say they should pay attention to in, especially in this current condition, like what we call new normal or next normal, other than creativity?
Mm. The I mean, we talk about creativity, adaptability, the new normal. That the compassion, the awareness. I've been also noticing quite a couple of friends who are leaders and business owners.
Mhm.
That awareness word kept coming for a lot of them. It's quite interesting that some of them mentioned that awareness. And I remember reading one of a friends. He was actually an educator from years ago. So in 2009, he was saying he was actually coming up with a leadership framework model to teach actually I think they are about 18 years old students in Singapore. So as he looked at that and he was teaching it, he was sharing about the situation for now, that it's quite a bit of a shift. It almost sounded quite mechanical then when he was listening, but they were actually important things then. But it's no longer the thing that will, I would say, would I wouldn't say resonate, but it not as pertinent to how we may need it now. That awareness that to grow together, like how I was saying right earlier in the beginning of the interview, I would say harmonizing that unity. That
Mhm.
unity we see of late. It's that to be that leader, you must have or cultivate to develop that ability to unite with different people of different strengths and to
Mhm.
draw different strengths to inspire. When we inspire, I never really think of myself as one who influence people. I never really put myself in that position. Or really have that time to really focus on that. I'm amazed. I have some friends who are and clients are great influencers on social media, and they are brilliant at what they do. And but when I think of inspiring someone, I see every individual in an organization or client to see their strengths, and to help them to rise up, and to see their flaws, but not to see their flaws as a stumbling block, but to help them to see that these these things can come to merge together. That uniquely you, it's a strong component. We need you in this organization. Every one of this uniqueness are together to make, to help to build a business. And even for my business, I mean, I'm the face of the business, but every teacher, every educator that comes in our industry, in our clients too, we are collectively, weekly, I'm seeing opportunities to ways to improve for the staff and for my clients needs. Yeah.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. And again, like, I mean, you are from what you do is really on the creative side as well. But again, what you are sharing with us is really creativity as a whole, as a person or as a leader or even within the organization, and coming up with new ideas and all those stuff. And again, it's probably a buzzword nowadays, adaptability. But yeah, that's something that we need for us to be able to adapt continuously. And it all starts with awareness, whether it's self-awareness or awareness of what's happening around you, right? And that's definitely important for you to be able to solve the current problems that you have, and even to level up into your game as well. I mean, we've been talking about like leadership a lot, around leadership, I would say, and transformation, and like the important skills that you must have, right? So what do you believe is the role of learning around leadership and transformation in order to thrive in the next normal?
Ooh, learning, I think it's, well, learning is for entrepreneurs, business owners, anyone around in this world now. If we don't learn, we're going to fall back. And the key is to keep improving. And only if we are observing the people around us who are really effective in what they're doing, we pick up that traits. We want to be, we aspire to be like them, and to go forth. And we need those people around us. And for our staff, and you see in organizations, sorry, I'm going back to corporates too, and all,
Mm-hmm.
we constantly need to give them that juicy motivation. Yes, that juicy word's coming forth. I'm probably going to have a juicy juice after this. Yes, to go for, because you need that. You need the external factor, the environment, and other people, the influences to come forth to continually and collectively to help them rise up together. So I strongly feel that that's very, very important for that. Yeah.
Wow. And I appreciate that you highlighted how important it is to, keep on improving. And again, what we wanted to do for us to be adaptable as well and to move to the next level, it requires us to, again, to keep on learning, to stay motivated, right? And I appreciate that because, sometimes this is, or I think most of the time, not sometimes, that most organization actually like always put training or learning on the back seat as always, like even during these difficult times when I've actually heard like I remember one of our speakers who's actually from UK, and then he told me that in our country, when things are difficult, when pandemics hits, or when there's something similar that happens, the first reaction that they would do is, oh, we need to learn, we need to like equip ourselves. But in here where we are, it's really like, oops, let's keep our money and not invest on our learning yet, or that's the usual theme that I've been hearing in my conversation. But again, like what you've said, it's important, it's really key in improving, and that requires learning to keep us motivated. So thank you for sharing that with us. And that leads me now to my last two questions, very interesting ones. And I would wonder like, how did you actually choose that answer as well? So if
Oh.
you like, what's the thought process? Because this will be like very open questions, I would say.
Mhm.
So if you have a magic wand that
Oh, I
you
like
can,
that.
what would you do with it? And share with us like why you chose that, or how did you come up with those thought process, why you wanted that for your
Right.
magic wand.
Understandable. Now I feel like I need to have a magic wand. Actually, in my business and dance business, I ought to have it, but usually it's an invisible one for the kids to visualize, and for my adult clients to visualize in their body. um, if I have a magic wand, it's quite interesting. What I thought about what you're saying when you're sharing, asking that question. Now another answer pop up in my mind that
Mhm,
it links back to awareness. If I
mhm,
could have a magic wand, I would love to kind of swish that magic wand across nations, across the world. Not only whatever that's happening right now in many countries for the people who are suffering, that when they cultivate that awareness in us, the way we perceive things, the way we act and behave will be so much different. And what we see on the news and how we hear from different people will be different. The way we react or the comments people give will be different. Yes, it across the board, whether it's a little kids and all, and of course, being me, I would love to have that magic wand to help the whatever situation right now, who the starving, the struggling, the needy, the poor, to have what they need. But the bottom line, I feel right now, as we're sharing, that when we have that awareness,
mhm.
it really shifts. That magic wand just cultivates in there. It's like a little flower that kind of blossoms, a little plant that kind of blossoms, and because you have that in you, the people around you also will somehow feel it, and also kind of, if they like it, they also want it, and then you become a leader itself. That you're kind of like sharing. It's like almost like, I want to say, when people are catching a cold, you kind of share the germs, right? But now we're sharing that seed of awareness, of love, that kind of emanates out across the board. Yes.
Wow, I really wish you have a magic one, but for sure with what you do now in your current business, it's always about cultivating awareness at every chance you have. A conversation with your clients or with your students. So this is something that you've always been doing already in your message, I would say, and the things that you do. So, but I really hope that you also have a magic one to cultivate more awareness. And again, this is something that I'm really passionate about as well, awareness, self-awareness, especially that, because I would say it all starts from there, right? If you have that awareness that, oh yeah, there's love, there's I have to have respect all the time, and and oh, these are my strengths, this is, awareness of all the things that you have internally, as well as, things that you can actually bring out to the world. So yeah, and it's important, I would say, right? So thank you for sharing that, and I
Yes.
really hope you can share more, or and cultivate more awareness to other people, which you are, again, like you have been doing already in whatever
Thank you.
activities that you do, right? So
Thank you. Oh yes, Marilyn, you pointed out something. It reminded me some of my corporate clients. Back in when I was in my 20s, so even 20 years ago, about 20 years ago, or I would say almost 20 years ago, that
mhm,
awareness of effective organizations with great leaders that I had the opportunity to work with, whether it's one-on-one private coaching or even in group setting for their staff, that especially with this pandemic, the organizations are getting great, I would say, either feedback or satisfaction from their employees are the
mhm.
well-being, the
Yes.
and in a holistic way to actually to keep in check, to see how they're doing. So back in those days, these organizations approached me because they were very intrigued to help their staff. So I mean, over in the last 10, I would say 10 or less years, you can hear a bit of like holistic going on in
Mhm.
Singapore and more. But back
Yes.
in those days already, it's already that these effective leaders, and there's a purpose and also a reason why these organizations, that some of them they've been that I had the opportunity to work with, they're still running and they're doing really well because they that the leadership and the managerial roles that they have recruited the staff to be in, that leaders have that foresight to be able to understand that that well-being comes in hand. If they have to go to work long hours, what can we implement to help them to feel better? If they're not going to feel better, there's no way you're not going to see in the results, the sales and everything. You're going to see it. I can tell when when someone's tired. You're not going to get that. But that whole
True.
leadership is almost like we're almost like nurturing an adult
True.
now, an
Yeah.
adult, and kind of like, I won't say pampering, but nurturing, like holding them in the way they need and to move forth together.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like what you mentioned, we've been hearing holistic, but I think only like recently that it really came into our realization. And I think that's one of the silver linings that the pandemic has brought about as well. Really caring for your health and really understanding what holistic means, right? Again, in our conversation in our previous summit, we've actually discussed several things around communication, digital transformation. And what I really love is that we've also incorporated in that conversation how important your mindset is, your heart set is. You've mentioned about compassion and love in earlier in your earlier answer, and also like that humility as well. And part of that is really like having that balance in terms of addressing all of that, whether it's for personal or even in your organization, right?
Yes.
So having that available, that balance available holistically
Mm.
in the organization again. Yeah.
Mm.
So that leads me now to my I would say last question. If you were to ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be? And if you'd like to share with us the answer, please do so.
In terms of leadership or any questions in general?
Any questions in general that you feel that you can best answer and share with
Mm.
us?
This question pops up quite a lot. When I'm talking to you, I'm thinking. um, I would always feel every morning, or actually, I think to myself before I start my day, how would I be the best version of myself to step up to my game to serve the people I need to serve, or I get the opportunity to serve daily. So how am I showing up today? I would kind of tweak the questions, and when I think about those questions, and my answer will be like, just get up and be me. and just learn along the way. So that's the answer quite often. You can kind of sit there and think about the question, but after you ask, it's to be an action taker. When I think of all the leaders and even myself, if you're going to sit there and just think about the situation, things are not going to change. But action comes when we stand up and do something about it and learn from it. So that's my answer to myself.
That's really a very good question. I would say, like, how would I be my best version of myself, and how am I showing up today? And I love how you've answered it as well. That um, just being me. And it's interesting. Like I've actually get to learn about this gene keys recently, and I got reminded that actually it's like just being yourself, and just being that means also like being a gift not only to yourself but also to others. So thank you for that reminder. I really love
My pleasure.
it. Yeah, so and that's the end of our conversation, I would say. But is there anything more that you'd like to share, or a message that you'd like to leave our audience with?
since it's International Women's Day, that part of me, that women or feminine part of me is merging out more. Just to, I think it would be a gentle reminder actually for myself that we are given an opportunity every day to breathe, to live, and to be surrounded with what we have. But we rise up to the occasion, and every day can be International Women's Day because we're constantly, as a woman, we're having that role to impact, influence, whether it's the our family, our siblings, the community, whether it's social media. You can't, by your words, your actions, you are a leader. The words you say, it can be a simple word that can leave such a profound impact on someone who may be struggling so hard right now, especially with the pandemic and with the starving and the needy. That word, or just your presence or your smile, Marilyn, can be just that very impact that shifts a person's mindset about the way they want to do something. It just reminded me of a situation of a lovely friend. She inspired me a lot when she said that she was a home educator years ago. That A very busy woman, and that needless, that self love for others, that love and compassion for others, that she was so busy, but that she was rushing out, that she felt that she had to call this person, this lady. And she rang that lady up, and that lady was actually overwhelmed with her family, with kids, taking care of kids, and perhaps financially struggling or something like that. But because of that call, that woman shared that she said that she was just on her way out to commit suicide. That she felt that compassion, that somebody who was so busy, having to work and take care of family, took that time as a leader to call her. Even that short call makes a difference. So I would say to anyone that's listening, we never want to kind of feel like anything we're doing may not be worth it, because whether in our business or anything, or it could really impact someone when we don't see it, just because person don't tell us. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that beautiful message to our audience and to me, of course.
Thank you.
And
The pleasure is mine.
yeah, I really appreciate you taking time to have this conversation with me, and for sure we have impacted at least a person or so, right, through this message or through this conversation. So I really thank you. I would say this conversation is not only very authentic, but also it's very people centric and full of love.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that again. And um, thank you everyone for watching, and do join us in this journey to create more opportunities for us to create a better world that we believe in, right? And remember that even the richest investors in the world would say that investing in yourself is the best investment that you can ever make in your life. So if your actions, and that with that we would like to leave you with this quote, that if your actions create legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. So thank you so much, Iberline, and thank you so
Oh,
much,
my pleasure.
everyone.
It's so
Have a
wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Have a great day, everyone, and do stay safe. Bye for now. Do connect with us if you have anything that you need help for. Thank you.
Thank